This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 520.
I program my home computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. Why, hello everybody, this is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. We have one next weekend, WordCamp Pune in India, February 7th, one-day camp. So by all means, if you're in that part of the world, go. FYI, I'm not going to be there. It's kind of far, and I'm just coming back from a trip. Okay, moving on. Segment 1 in the news. A couple things to talk about here. First and foremost, early opportunities to test WordPress 6.5 is now available. Ahead of the beta 1 for 6.5 will be happening on an event on February 13th. Will be happening. It's an early opportunity to provide feedback as features are rapidly underway. If I'm not mistaken, 6.5 is due out in March of this year, 2024. I'm not exactly sure. What was the actual date? I think it's like March 14th or 17th. I forget the actual date. Link in the show notes for all that as well. Also in the news, my latest venture, I meant to mention this last week. I mentioned it a few weeks ago about my new Build in Public project. It's called Your Pulse Monitor, otherwise known as YPM. You can now go to yourpulsemonitor.com, sign up for information when it launches, hopefully by the end of March as well. Also, Build in Public, there's a link on the bottom right. It says click here. If you want to get updates ahead of time, like follow along, give feedback, you can sign up for that. There's 2 different email lists. So you don't need to sign up for both. If you just want to be alerted to when it goes live, sign up on the main page. If you want to get the weekly stuff, sign up there, etc. And go from there. All right, so that's cool. Is that it in the news? Yeah, that's it in the news. Moving on to segment 2, Q&A this week. But first, a word from this week's sponsor. Meet Memberful, the best in-class membership software trusted by the web's biggest creators. With Memberful, you can handle the tough stuff so you can complete your builds quickly. And guess what? Your clients can focus on creating amazing content while they easily earn revenue. Now, what sets Memberful apart? It's not just a membership tool. It's a powerhouse that protects members-only content. You, as a site owner, have the flexibility to choose which subscribers get access to those exclusive areas of your website, all thanks to Memberful's server-side content protection. Memberful seamlessly integrates with WordPress, offering a range of sort codes and built-in functions. This means you can insert dynamic links, integrate Memberful data seamlessly into your WordPress theme as well. But that's not all. Memberful is all about making your life easier. It comes with built-in connections to popular tools like MailChimp, Discord, and Google Analytics. So you can reach and monetize your existing audience without having to rebuild your entire tech stack. Ready to take that plunge? Get started for free at memberful.com/kitchensink. That's memberful.com/kitchensink. Help your clients turn their passion into profit with Memberful. And once again, thanks to Memberful for sponsoring. That's Memberful, memberful.com/kitchensink. So again, thanks for being a sponsor. Really appreciate having you on board. All right, moving on, segment 2, Q&A. It's been 8 weeks, so here we go. Here's Q&A. I have about three questions this week. One of them way over my head, out of my pay range, but I'm going to try to help the questionnaire as well, either way. First one is this one. Sent in. Who sent this in? Do I have a name on this one? I don't think. Oh, Ben. Ben sent this in. Thanks, Ben. I don't know who Ben is. But this one is by Ben. It says, I tried to upload a plugin recently and I got a WordPress error, incompatible archive. What's up with that? I guess it's, and I'd reached out. It's a premium plugin, not from the repo. And that's important here because you can install WordPress plugins from repo. And ironically enough, the timing on this is pretty interesting because I kind of had the same thing about a week and a half ago, I think, so right when the question came in. So apparently, right now there's a bug. When attempting to upload a theme or plugin to WordPress in version 6.4.3, there's an error where it says incompatible archive. It's pretty undescriptive, doesn't tell you what's going on here. So it turns out that there's an issue with the zip file. And there's a workaround, and I did some research on this, and I got it to work myself. So there's 1 or 2 workarounds, or 3, but I found 2. One of them that worked for me was using the code snippet plugin. And like I said, if you can't upload a plugin, how does this work? Well, you can install code snippet because it's on the repo. and it's free. And there's one piece of code. You add a filter, you turn it on, then you can install the plugins you want to install, and then turn it off and remove the code snippet plugin. I have it actually on a handful of plugins, handful of sites anyways, but it's an add_filter piece of code. It's kind of long, not long, but it's archaic. It's weird to say here. So I'll just put a link in the show notes. You'll see it there as far as what the code is, and that solves that problem. The other option that I read, which didn't work for me, was unzipping the file and rezipping it. I don't know how that would fix it, honestly, because I tried that with a few different premium plugins and themes. Didn't work for me at all. So I'm not sure why that would work for some, but I did find that the code snippet worked, and it's just fine there. So good question, good timing. Just ironically enough, I was trying to install, what was I trying to install? I think ACF, and it wouldn't install like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so found that out as well. So I saved it to share here, and there you go. Hope that helps you, Ben. And moving on to the second question. This was sent in, I don't know who this is sent in by, no name on this one. Can I remove an old website from the internet, specifically images, as I keep getting, or I've recently got some emails regarding image licensing, regarding a potential lawsuit. Oh yeah, I know who this is from. I don't want to keep the name out of this one. So this is an ongoing issue with licenses and image copyright for images. As far as who owns it, was it used right? Are these trolls trying to get money from people? So yes, in this case, the question came in. I remember who it's from now, but it's regarding an old site that's long since gone. And the photos have been replaced. It's like an old version, but they found this on the Internet Archive, of Wayback Machine kind of thing. So I didn't know you could do this. I looked into it for them because I was curious. And yes, you can request for removal old images or archives. One of two ways. First way is you can go to the website. It's actually Internet Archive as a .org. help.internetarchive.org. I'll put a link in the show notes, and you kind of search for how do I request to remove something from the org. It's a form. It's an email. You send it to them and stuff. The other way is you can put a robots.txt file. Apparently you can do this. This information I found is a little old, 4 or 5 years old, but you can put robots.txt that blocks spiders. So that way when Wayback Machine visits your site, it'll see that and it will remove the site's archive as well and stop visiting. Whether or not that still works, I don't know, but I did find that out online for you as well. But yeah, I would just put in the request via email. So I'll put a link in the show notes to the Internet Archive request for removal. It's just easier to just go to the website, KitchensinkWP.com/E0520, and you'll find that there. All right. And the last question, this is the one that was a doozy, and it takes a couple minutes here to explain, I think. So this was sent in by, who's this by? I don't know who this one's by, actually. Another one, no name. I'm so sorry about that. So whoever you were, sorry. Okay, so what is the WordPress REST API? How can I use it? Well, that's a great question. And of course, I've heard of the REST API, a little bit above my pay grade here, but to help you out, REST, first of all, stands for Representational State Transfer, and API, as we know, stands for Application Programming Interface. So in the context of this, the API refers to any software with a distinct function, and it can go back and forth between two applications. So the REST API is a set of tools and protocols that allows developers to interact with WordPress and the sites programmatically. It provides a standardized way to access and manipulate WordPress content, data, using the HTTP request protocol. Okay, so it's a lot of words there. And I just want to call out, I think, 3 or 4 specific features about the REST API. There's endpoints, HTTP methods, authentication, and data formats. Now, the REST API endpoints has various endpoints, each representing a different type of data or functionality on a WordPress site. Common endpoints include posts, pages, users, categories, and more. Well, that makes sense, right? So it makes sense there. The HTTP method, the API uses get, post, put, and delete to perform actions on that data. For example, a get request to the posts endpoint might retrieve a list of photos, while a post request could create a new post, okay? Authentication will help you do authentications through application passwords and OAuth, and data formats might be a way to manipulate content and data in exchanging with a JSON, which is JavaScript Object Notation, different structured languages. So that part gets a little confusing to me in the data formats. So how do you use it? Well, you can explore the endpoints, you can do authentication requests, and of course you can do HTTP requests, like I just said. And you got to be a developer really to get into this stuff. I don't consider myself this level of developer at any stretch of the imagination. I never promised to be one. Well, I never pretend to be one. I would love to be one. Sure, it'd be great. Anyway, so using the REST API, the WordPress REST API, does open up a wide range of possibilities. Okay, so what I found is you can create custom applications, you integrate external services, build interactive and dynamic websites. It's a very powerful tool for developers looking to extend the customization of WordPress beyond just basic traditional web interfaces. Okay. Now, that said, I did find on the learn.wordpress.org site a tutorial using it. And I would highly recommend checking that out as a first place to start. I'll put a link in the show notes there as well. So it's learn.wordpress.org/tutorial, and then it's using -WordPress-REST API, but link in the show notes as well. Okay, so there you go. Sorry I don't have a name on who sent that in. I don't know who that was, actually. It just kind of came in anonymously. So, all right. That is that for the questions this week. Moving on to segment 3, tip and tool of the week. So 2 weeks ago, I talked about the email authentications, the SPF, the DKIM, the DMARC. Well, it's a real thing based now on February 1st, because actually I sent off a few emails from Your Pulse Monitor and from Silly Little Goals, my other little side project. And a couple alerts came up from friends. They sent me screenshots from Google Apps and Google Suite. So they still went through. I think they're just kind of just testing the waters now. But anyway, I went through and had to go fix this on all my sites, all my servers. And part of that was creating the DMARC. I use Hover, and I'm using MailerLite right now. And MailerLite doesn't give you the shortcut on how to do the DMARC. The DMARC is what's needed. So anyway, I found a great tool. The name of the tool is DMARC Record Wizard. That is DMARC Record Wizard. It's over at Dmarcian.com. DMARCIAN.com. It's free. It's about 5 or 6 steps. It walks you through, actually it's 7 steps specifically, and really easy, and it worked, and it solved the problem. And all my sites now are domain authenticated across the board. So it's pretty cool. So check that out over at Dmarcian.com. So there you go. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here. If you have any questions, go ahead, send it in via email, adam@KitchensinkWP.com, or the SpeakPipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, there's a couple of ways. You can become a Patreon, KitchensinkWP.com/Patreon. There's also a button on the website to buy me a coffee, or you could also sponsor the show like Memberful did this week. Thanks again to Memberful for that. And lastly, this episode marks 10 years of weekly podcasts. So if you've been around a long time, I thank you for being a long-standing listener and part of the community, and I continue to keep doing this. So 10 years done, 520 episodes every week. 10 years. That's the math. All right. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right. Bye-bye.